trading that really took place over the day's trade here.
We saw a roller coaster ride on the Australian share market, not only today but also this week. And if we have a look at the last 5 sessions of the week, 4 out of the 5 have been negative ones. We've seen falls of more than 1%. And of course, today we saw a fall of 1.6%. The biggest concern today in terms of sector performance was the commodity space. We saw the material space losing a massive 10% for the week. And if we have a look at our majors, BHP Billiton down 3%, Rio Tinto down by 3.8%, and just these 2 stocks accounting for 1/4 of the losses that we saw on the market today. We saw the focus of the market really shifting from a possible imminent Greece default to really concerns about our banks in general. And if we have a look at the Eurozone banks, we saw the PIMCO CEO and co-CIO coming out to say overnight that it looks like an institutional run on the French banks, a report that BNP Paribas looking for fresh cash in the Middle East. And then, of course, during the Australian session, we saw Moody's downgrading 8 Greek banks by 2 notches and keeping them on negative watch. So every sector on the market was lower except for the healthcare space. The material space was the worst, and the smallest stocks absolutely pummeled. I mean, Atlas Iron down by almost 8% today.
Yeah, now, Julia, what did you make of sovereign wealth funds and some pension funds were committed to buying?
If we have a look at the intraday graph of the Australian share market, this is what it looks like. And you can see midway through the session, we did see a bit of a mini comeback on the Aussie market. And indeed, it looked like we might even finish and go into the black at one point. And that was off the news that we are seeing some of the Asian wealth funds and sovereign funds looking at buying stock. We heard that Korea's wealth fund is looking at buying some Bank of America stock, and we also heard that China's sovereign wealth fund is looking at buying $1.6 billion worth of stock on the local market. So that seemed to help our market a little bit when that news came out. Also, out of the Eurozone, it does look like those 16 banks which almost failed those bank stress tests, recapitalisation is going to be a main priority. So we saw a little bit of a lift during the day before you can see the last 2 hours of trade, once again, a slide in the market.
On this, I mean, in the meantime, I guess investors do get nervous thinking, what is happening to my superannuation money? If it's staying in stocks or even 50% or 60% or 40%, people are rightfully right to be nervous?
I guess if you have a look at the experience of Australian investors since 1982, we've seen the biggest secular bull run on the market, which finished in 2007. And if we are indeed in a secular bear market, then the statistics that we sort of compare against in terms of PE ratios are a lot different. And I guess the last one that we saw in Australia was 1974 to about 1980s. Back then, we saw the Australian market losing about 60% overall in that time period from the peak down to the trough. But you have to remember, in between there were some huge rallies as well. We saw a rally of 44% during that time, as well as 125% till that downtrend line broke. If you have a look at the Japan experience from 1992 to the low that we've seen, they've lost around about 80%. Yet the rallies in between, one of the biggest rallies has been about 125%, which was from 2003 to 2007. So I think very different market conditions to the ones that investors have been used to the last few decades, and having to adjust. And I think timing does play a big part in that. In terms of the technicals, the trend is very much downwards, but it's about picking those turning points. And I guess today, for GAN traders, they were keeping a close eye on the market because it is a key anniversary date, and these anniversary dates of GAN traders do tend to signify significant bottoms or tops for the markets or turning points. So I guess GAN traders looking at those time cycles, and today was a significant one. The next one's not till the 8th of November.